Call the El Reno Airport regular meeting to order on Tuesday, January 8th, 2019 at 5:30. Roll call starting with Councilwoman Ryder.
Here.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn,
Yes.
Trustee Cronister,
Here.
Chairman Robinson.
Here. We'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno Airport Authority and will be acted with one motion. Should the discussion be desired, any item, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Approval of the minutes of the December 11, 2018 regular meeting of the El Reno Airport Authority. Number 2, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2018-19 ending June 30, 2019.
Motion approved.
Second?
Got a motion by Cronister, second by White. Roll call starting with Ryder.
Yes. Trustee White,
Yep.
Vice Chairman Ballhorn,
Yep.
Trustee Cronister.
Yes.
Chairman Robinson.
Yes. We'll move into a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion, got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
For adjournment.
Any questions, buddy?
Hi, buddy. Good to see you there.
I stuck in.
Here, Bob. I passed it already.
Oh, sorry, Bob. We're waiting on you. I know.
Call the Recreational Authority meeting, January 8th at 5:32 or 5:37. Roll call start with Cronister.
Here.
Trustee White,
Here.
Trustee Robinson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ryder,
Yes.
Chairman Ballhorn.
Yep.
Consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the El Reno Recreational Authority and will be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Item 1, approval of minutes of the December 11th, 2018 regular meeting of the El Reno Recreational Authority. Number 2, to approve the purchase of 2 2019 John Deere Model 590 ATV and 1 John Deere Model Z930 mower to be utilized for care and maintenance of the El Reno Lake RV park and facilities. Number 3, to approve the purchase of 2 2019 F-250 crew cab 4x4 trucks on state contract from Bob Moore Ford LLC for $29,830 each. Approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year of 2018-2019 ending June 30th, 2019. Approval of claims requiring trustee authorization for the period beginning December 1st, 2018 to ending December 1st, 2018?
31st.
31st.
Make a motion approved.
Second?
Trustee Cronister,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ryder,
Yes.
Chairman Ballhorn.
Yep. Discussion items. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposal received for park equipment for Flake Knight Park, Burton Park, Gadberry Park, and Legion Park. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposals received for new pavilions at Legion Park and municipal swimming pool. and
Probably gonna take one item at a time.
Yeah, oh, okay, sorry, excuse me. Number 6.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Parks Board met, Ms. Gore, Ms. Brothers, they met what, 2 months ago, a month ago?
December 2nd.
Okay, I can't remember, it's been holidays. And we've been trying to get a plan together to kind of finish up our park systems, to get Burton Park, Fright Night Park, and our local development that we had. We got together with the developer at the Webster location where we tore down the old school. Well, that lot, there's gonna build 19 houses there, is that right, Matt?
That's right.
Okay, so we're gonna put a park area there too. Mr. Brown wanted to do that to cover our locations, to have our park areas, and they donated some money to that. So that'll cover all of our park areas. That brings all the new playground equipment up. We're gonna try to do this every year as we kind of come in. The playground equipment's been very successful, I think, throughout the community. The people really enjoyed it. And we're trying to get more and more handicap accessible equipment and upgrade our equipment throughout our park system. So OMAG can lower our rates on our insurance. I just want to throw that in. Okay, so basically we come up with a plan. I set a budget for this, and I set a budget for the pavilions, and we'll discuss that next. But that gives us some new areas. What we wanted to do is bring to you today the bids. This covered all of the things that we had located at all the parks that we wanted to do, and that's just all the stuff that the park board recommended. Frank Knight, Burton, Gadberry, Legion, and Webster area. We didn't do anything at the lake because we did some stuff at the lake last time. So we're trying to kind of catch up and make sure everybody gets it from our main parks being the lake and Legion, and then our pocket parks, neighborhood parks, which is the other ones that they come up with. So the low bid was Noah's Park, and they came in at $90,707.60. Through the other proposals, we came up with, there's a zip line with a handicap feature that we wanted to get. Is that correct, ladies? And so that's another $5,000 added. Is that correct?
It was a different company that had the double zip line that had.
Okay, so how much would Noah's Park be, is what I'm trying to ask you.
Noah's Park would be $60,991, and then Happy Playgrounds would be $34,722.
Okay, so we want to award, we're going to split the bids up so we get the handicap feature from Happy Playgrounds, is that correct?
Yes.
So we want one feature to be the Legion feature, which the only one that we were going to have to add on was the zip line with the handicap feature, where they could have the two zip lines where the handicap feature would be incorporated in that. So what we're asking you tonight is to award Happy Playgrounds $34,722 even, and then Noah's, $20 even, and then Noah's Park $60,991. Is that correct?
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Second.
We got a motion, a second, I'm not even the chairman, that you're talking
You
about.
second it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a motion and second.
sorry.
We'll start with Ryder.
Yes. Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Cronister.
Yes.
Chairman Ballhorn.
Number 7, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposals received, for new pavilions at Legion Park, Municipal Swimming Pool, and Burton Park.
Mr. Chairman, what we did was we went out for proposals on the new pavilions. As you know, Burton Park, and that's your area, Mr. Chairman. You and I have been down there several times looking at different park areas. That's one thing that people really wanted. They use that pavilion a lot down there. So we wanted to make sure that we upgrade that one. So we went out to bids, and the low bid on all three, and they were combinations, was G-Man. He's done some work for us in the past, but it came in at $47,369. And then also on top of that, through our insurance money that we have, we also are going to do the pool and cemetery and some other items, but they're not included in this at all. So we'll do that all the same work. We already have contracted out.
And these are, is this in addition to the one that's down there already, or just fixing that?
Basically, we're gonna take and make it, it's a way bigger one, is what this one's
The
gonna be.
Legion Park one is, we're taking down the existing one and putting up a bigger one. The Burton Park
Yeah.
is going to be closer to the playground equipment where that old fountain or what,
It's a
we're gonna
concrete,
put it
yeah.
over that.
So we'll put one there. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions? So I need a motion to approve the contract to G-Man for $47,369.
Motion.
I got a motion?
Second?
God, I'm not doing me. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, you're doing fine.
My turn next.
I'm not gonna stop somebody on the road. Do I have a second?
Roger, Chris.
I have a second.
Yes, second.
Roll call, or we'll start with Cronister.
Yes.
Trustee White.
I guess.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ryder. Yes. Chairman Ballhorn.
Yep. Number 8, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding proposals received for golf carts.
Mr. Chairman, you've been a part of this because you're chairman of this board. You've been to most of the meetings, been to all the meetings that we've had about going out to bids. This is something we've been working on for about a year, trying to get everything together. We thought the right time was good. We went out to bids. Marcia, we were pleasantly surprised with the bids. We had our, last time we bought golf carts, they were a lot higher. They came back a lot higher, so we budgeted more money for them. So we're gonna try to talk to Roger, and I got some more questions, but what we did was we went out for 40 gas golf carts, and they had the option of taking the trade-ins in that proposal. So we received 2 proposals back, and one was with the Yamaha group, and one was with the Easy Go group. And of course, just like Mr. Cam and George, you know, they run those deals. I kind of depend on their opinion. We want to make sure that they're the ones that get the parts for it. They're the ones that get it. So I kind of asked George to kind of handle it. They came in, and the bids were basically really surprising. A lot lower than what we thought. The Yamaha bid came in at 103. Is that right, Matt?
Yamaha came in at 100.
$100,000, and then Easy-Go came in at
102.5.
102.5. So upon the review, George, absolutely, and we had both these carts out there for, and you've seen them. Right. We had both these carts out there for the golfers to try out, see which one they like, you know, kind of everything else. We have Yamahas now, we got trade-in good on them, so we feel pretty good about that. So George's recommendation is to go with the, and then went to the recreational board last night, and the golf board, and they recommend that we get the Honda along with George. Yamaha, good gosh, Yamaha bid, and we feel real comfortable with that. Matter of fact, that bid, Marcia and I discussed, we might get some more, we might have to go back out to bid, but that was a really good bid at this price. So we feel good.
And those parts are right here local, for the most part.
And that's a good call, Mr. Chairman. The main thing is that, you know, we're dealing with the person here, and then the other location's in Norman, so we still have 2 locations to get parts at, here local, so that's something to say right there. So,
Tracy's got an additive to this.
Go ahead.
Start out.
Well, the added
It was kind of,
benefits.
yeah, the added benefits, if you saw that.
yes, absolutely. And that's all in your pocket, so it's really a lot better deal.
Yes. Well, I'd like to make a motion, we award Yamaha the bid.
Okay,
Have a motion,
got a motion?
Second,
have a second by Ryder. We'll start with Ryder.
yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Cronister.
Yes.
Chairman Ballhorn.
Yes.
Adjournment, so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Here, Mr. Hurry Up.
I mean, I'm
Your turn.
I've been busy all this afternoon today. Okay, it's now 5:44. I now call the El Reno Hospital Authority regular meeting of Tuesday, January the 8th, 2019 to order. Roll call start with Vice Trustee Cronister.
Here.
Trustee Ballhorn.
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Ryder. Chairman White.
Yes. We'll move on to discussion items. The following items be considered routine by the El Reno Hospital Authority and act with one motion. Should discussion be desired on any item, that item be removed from consent agenda and considered separately. Number 1, approval of minutes for the December 11th, 2018 regular meeting of the City of El Reno Hospital Authority.
Make a motion to approve.
I got a motion approval?
Second.
I got a second by Robinson. Roll call vote start with Ryder.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Ballhorn.
Yep.
Vice Chairman Cronister.
Yes.
Chairman White.
Yes. All right, move on to D, discussion items. Discussion consideration of possible action regarding proposals received for the ambulance services in the City of El Reno. Well, as you all know, that I went out for requests for proposals for our ambulance service. They were out. We did an extended service, I think, Kent, for 1 week because there were some more questions. We want to make sure everything was answered on both the hospital and the ambulance service. We appreciate that because of the holidays, people were running into some problems. So we appreciate everybody, bringing that to our attention and us working with them and them working with us. We received 3 bids today. I will tell you, we're very happy with the bids. I think that we have, total 4 bids. 4 bids that we got.
on the
Sorry.
ambulance.
Yeah, on the ambulance, sorry. 4 bids on the ambulance service. And we're pleased with that. We were concerned with keeping the service that the current service that we had. I will tell you, I have been in contact with the city of Calumet. I've contacted their fire chief and their mayor, and I've also been in contact with the mayor and the city manager and fire chief of Union City, and I've contacted the city manager of Okarche. So I'd like to have them involved in that. Our bid encompasses the city of El Reno, but there's just a little bit more area outside that encompasses there, and we want to make sure that our neighbors are taken well care of. We've always been able to provide that service, and we're kind of the big dog on the block, and we want to make sure we can negotiate that with all of our sister cities and do that. So we feel comfortable with the bids that we received. Mr. Duff's gone on an outing. He's the poor guy that helped put some of that together. Let us review those. These are not bids. These are proposals. We received these RFPs with these proposals. So they're not bids. We didn't have a bid opening. Myself and staff have been reviewing these all afternoon as soon as they came in, up until the point that we've done. I will tell you that we did bring a couple of points up. We wanted to make sure that our neighbors were taken care of, which I think that the individuals that would be involved in that will absolutely want to do that. And they are absolutely interested in hiring the employees that are currently running our ambulance service. That was one of our other questions. And we just wanted to make sure that we absolutely have the service we have, which has been impeccable, and better than what we have. And we absolutely, from the bids that we saw so far, do cover those three entities. So we are going to do that. I think I can have everything put together for you by next week. I plan on having a special meeting to go over this. I'll get some spreadsheets in between there to send out to you to kind of get more in depth, to let us kind of sort through it all and answer some of your questions. But that's kind of where we are, that I'm willing to discuss based on the receivable of the proposals. Does that make any sense? Any other questions? So I'll bring that back to you. I don't want to take any action at this point in time. We'll move on to item 3, discussion, consideration, possible action regarding proposals received for the hospital/healthcare services in the city of El Reno. We are also very pleased with the response that we got back. We received 3 proposals. Thank you, Kent, for showing me the 3 proposals back on the healthcare here in El Reno, and we appreciate everybody's commitment to making that possible. I had a couple of other people call, and they were wanting to be a proposal because of the short time frame. Even if we would have gave them a month, they couldn't have got there just because of where they are in their situation, based on where they are in their organization. So we feel good with the 3 we got. My task was to involve 3 things. And correct me if I'm wrong, was the proposals that we asked to get out were to receive the ambulance service, which we were very concerned with, which absolutely we're very pleased with. And then the second one was to have an emergency room. And we do have one proposal that does absolutely include an emergency room. To continue on services that we have currently right now, to try to keep the same level of service for the emergency room status. And then the other task was to make sure that we have a new facility. The facility we have is not going to work. It's not going to work long term. We know that. I think Mercy knew that, recognized that, so we wanted to make sure that we're going forward with that. So the new proposal includes a new facility. The new facility includes an emergency room. It includes everything that you have out there currently, and it's basically a micro hospital, including up to, it could be 4 to 6 beds. I got to read everything to go over everything, but that's kind of where we're at. Saying all that, we're going to have to take time. You know, El Reno has not paid anything for our services like some of our sister communities pay a subsidy on everything else. So the ambulances or wherever else. So we need to decide how we want to do that, how we want to fund that. There is some ownership that they want us to take. I think it's a partnership, the company that they're wanting to do with. It's a name brand. I think it'll be very positive for this community. I think it's something that we've wanted for a long time that we just basically didn't get, you know. So hopefully we can work that out with this group. I feel real excited about them. They're excited about us. And I think that we can kind of come to a conclusion and make this thing work. So once again, I'll go through the proposals and get all the information that you'll need, and you can absolutely ask me questions and staff questions at that point in time. But I do feel at this point in time that we will be able to have a hospital, a micro hospital, a medical facility that will fit our community. But it probably will end up costing us some money, but I think that we have to cross that bridge and move with it, because I think we have to decide from what we're hearing from the community, how the community, do they want to pay for it, how they want to pay for it, and how important it is to them. I mean, that's what it is. Once again, I did talk to the company. They were very interested in absolutely hiring employees. They want to make that transition. So I don't think that we'll have any problem with that at all. I don't know what committed the price will do. They're going to have another facility, so it won't be probably everybody, but I think they're absolutely wanting to use the current staff that's worked out there now, that's been, once again, impeccable and part of our community, whether they live here or work here and are part of this community. So I'm real pleased with what we come up with. Any questions? All right. Any other questions? All right, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. I got a motion and a second. Roll call, let's start with Ryder.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Ballhorn?
Yep.
Vice Chairman Cronister?
Yes.
Chairman White?
Yes, we are adjourned. And I was asked, I know some English people out here, on the proposal, yes, we will ask for some more information. Kent will get with you guys to get a proposal, just like we will be with the hospital people, so. Because we're gonna try to get all that together by next week and try to sew all that up and do that. What we'll do is Roger, myself, and Karen Reader, as your orders, we'll continue to get everything together for you, to get the information to bring it back for your decision. Okay? All right, we'll move on to the Reno Municipal Authority. It's now 5:53. I now call the El Reno Municipal Authority regular meeting Tuesday, January the 8th, 2019, to order. Roll call start with Trustee Ryder.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Ballhorn?
Yep.
Vice Chairman Cronister?
Here.
Chairman White?
Yes. Move on to new business, finish the time on the agenda. Are there any? Move on to consent agenda. The following items are considered routine by the El Reno Municipal Authority and be enacted with one motion. Should discussion be desired on that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number one, approval of minutes for the December 11th, 2018 regular meeting of the El Reno Municipal Authority. Number two, approval of budget amendments for the fiscal year 2018-2019 ending June 30th, 2019. Number three, approval of claims requiring trustees and authorization for the period beginning December the 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018.
Motion approved.
I got a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a second. Roll call vote start with Trustee Ryder.
Yes.
Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Trustee Ballhorn?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cronister?
Yes.
Chairman White?
Yes. Move on to item 4, discussion and consideration of possible action regarding approval of a contract for employment with Jeremy Frazier to serve as our city manager for the city of El Reno. At this point in time, Mr. Frazier, would you please come up to the podium? We're going to put you on the spot. So Mr. Frazier's going to come up and he's going to pay us $200 a month to work for us. And that's what Roger drew up. We really appreciate that, Roger. Hope your water didn't get off tomorrow. So, Mr. Frazier comes to us, highly recommended. We are all pleased to welcome Mr. Frazier. We were all impressed with Mr. Frazier. It was a long process. We appreciate that. We think Mr. Frazier is going to bring a lot to our community. There's a lot to be done here. He realizes that. He recognizes that with his youth and his experience of being assistant city manager at other communities and being a community director at another bigger community. We are really pleased to present our selection of Mr. Frazier and just to welcome him to our community, and just are lucky to have him. And I think you're going to be as pleased. I hope you're as pleased as we are for him to take us to the next level. So I'd like to just give him a round of applause. Jeremy, thank you. Jeremy, you can talk for just a minute and I will cut you off.
I'm assuming the mic is on.
It is.
Mayor, council, residents, citizens, thank you for this opportunity. I'm super excited to work with some familiar faces, some I've recently met, and some I've known for a longer period of time. I am very open to, obviously, any input that I'm going to receive from the community, as well as making decisions in conjunction, obviously, with the council. So this is going to be a great opportunity, and I'm going to give it 110%. And so I can't express how much I am excited and looking forward, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. It's Jerry.
Jeremy will start the 22nd, start to hit the ground running. He has meetings all scheduled. Kay's doing that right now. He's gonna meet with employees. We're gonna open an hour later because we want all the employees that we can. I think the only ones that we can't are the dispatchers that, you know, we have to have some officers on call, but we're gonna try to have everybody there because it's important that we all, as a city, welcome our new manager for a long-term commitment, and we're really excited about it. So, like Jeremy said, he's been here in our community with RF. I don't say it right, Lindsay, but anyway, did I say it right that time?
I think you did.
I did, okay. So, a lot of us have known Jeremy in the past and worked with him, and a lot of, been around the circle, so. We'll see you the 22nd, and you better get your work boots on, because we got a lot of work to do. All right. Thanks a lot, appreciate you, Jeremy. I'll make a motion that we give me the authority to sign Mr. Frazier's contract.
Second.
We got a motion and a second, roll call vote, start with Ryan.
Trustee Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Ballhorn.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cronister.
Yes.
Chairman White.
Yes. Motion for adjournment.
So moved. Fire.
That means I'm fired, but I'm on that. We got a sorry city manager now. I guarantee you, get rid of that guy and run him out on a rail.
I have a motion.
Second.
Give me a second, I'm sorry. Give me a second. You got me all flustered. I'm gonna get rid of this deal.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lindsay, I'm running this meeting. Be quiet. Not fired from there yet. All right. It's now 5:58. I now call the El Reno City Council regular meeting of Tuesday, January the 8th, 2019 to order. Roll call start with Vice Mayor Cronister.
Here.
Councilman Ballhorn. Here. Councilman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder. Here. Mayor White.
Yes. Samantha, are you here to say a prayer for us?
I am.
Would you come up and lead us in the word of the Lord?
I think I can manage that.
Let's do it. Please stand.
Father, we just come before you in the name of Jesus. And we ask you to fill this city council with the knowledge of your will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding. That they will make decisions that are according to your will and that will be a blessing to this community, and that this community will grow and prosper. We call in businesses that will be a blessing to this community, and that this community will be a blessing to them. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Join me in the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sam, always put you on the spot. What's going on with you and Paul? You guys are down with
You
my...
are always putting this on.
I always put you on the spot.
You guys do something about it.
Well, they're gonna, they never fired me once, so don't worry about that. Tell us what's going on. You got done, we're done with blessing baskets.
Yeah,
I mean, the big part.
The big part.
We're still working, but
Yeah.
tell us what else is going on with your church, Sam.
I was thinking of it, this past Sunday, we have preached in El Reno 29 years.
Is that right?
29 years we've been back here. You understand, I sacrificed a lot to come to El Reno, Oklahoma.
You sacrificed a lot, Mary and Paul, but that's not our part.
No, I didn't. The hunk is wonderful.
Tell Paul we love him, we love y'all's work, and you know how much we appreciate you.
I have come to absolutely love this community.
Been a big part of it.
You are a blessing to us and to the, frankly, I wouldn't live anywhere else. And you understand I'm saying that as having come from San Diego.
That's right.
I do miss the ocean, but I love being here.
We're glad to have you. All right, we'll move on to new business deletions, continues to the time of the agenda. Are there any? If not, the following items are considered routine by the El Reno City Council. We enact one motion. Should that discussion item be desired, that item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. City manager recommends with one motion that we approve Approval of minutes of December 11, 2018 regular meeting of the El Reno City Council. Number 2, approval of minutes of December 15, 2018 special meeting of the El Reno City Council. Number 3, approval of minutes December 21st, 2018 special meeting of the El Reno City Council. Number 4, acknowledge and accept a donation by InLink Midstream Operation LP to the El Reno Fire Department, amount of $400. Number 5, to acknowledge and accept donation by the Redbird family for smoke detectors for the El Reno Fire Department in the amount of $120. Number 6, to approve purchase of 2019 John Deere model 590 ATV, one John Deere Model Z 930 mower to be utilized in care and maintenance of El Reno Lake facilities, RV park. And number 7, approve purchase of a 2019 F-150 regular cab 4x4 truck on state contract with Bob Moore LLC for $23,900 to be used as an inspector's vehicle, and to approve purchase of 2 2019 F-250 crew cabs 4x4 trucks on state contract with Bob Moore LLC for $29,830 each. Number 9, approval purchase of 5 WatchGuard video systems for patrol units for donated by funds received by designated for the purchase of recording equipment. And then number 10, approval of budget amendments for fiscal year 2018 to 2019 ending June 30, 2019. Number 11, approval of claims requiring council authorization for the period beginning December 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, item number 7, the amount was $23,090.
That's right. Did I say something else?
Correction,
Yeah,
on the amended agenda.
Yeah.
oh,
893.
Wow, another amount, all right.
Yeah, and that's what I think I said, but that's okay.
Well, you said 900.
Dustin, don't jump in here, son. You're gonna make a mistake. All right. With that corrected, do anybody want to pull anything?
Motion approved.
I got a motion. You got a second by Ryder. Roll call start with Ryder.
Yes. Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Cronster?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yeah. We'll move on to E, audience participation. Anyone having an item of business to present to the city council that does not appear on the agenda, please come to the podium at this time, state your name. You're requested to limit your presentation to 3 minutes. Any item presented must pertain to the city governmental business. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? All right, we'll move on. Number 12, discussion items. 12, discussion, consideration, possible action declaring 720 North Bickford, AKA Hickox, Lot 21 and 22, Block 5, violation of Section 275, 134, Oklahoma, this is Oklahoma Code, of the Oklahoma Code, of the Code of the City of El Reno, declaring a public nuisance of such nature to constitute grave and immediate danger to the public peace, health, safety, morals, welfare, directing the city staff to demolish the structure and clear property as quickly as possible, directing the city clerk to pursue recovery costs of such work done, the city directing the treasurer to place in such revenues collected in a specific fund for which said revenues are originally appropriated, and further directing a filing of a notice in the county clerk's office. Mr. Broyles, I now consider this public hearing, no, this, not a public hearing. Okay. Yep, all right. Oh, that's right, we had it last time. We already had the public hearing. All right. Okay, anybody, Paul, we had it on the agenda last time.
There's a clerical error on the discussion part, so we had to bring it back to council for that.
And who made that mistake?
I did.
Oh, I thought it was going to say Lindsay. I was going to say. No, we understand. Thank you, helps. So, anybody here to talk about the property? Anybody here to talk about the property? All right. I make a motion to declare condemnation. Second. Okay, I got a motion by me and a second by Ballhorn. Roll call start with Ryder.
Yes.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Vice Mayor
We done,
Cronster?
didn't it?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. All right. 13, to conduct public hearing, consider declaring 821 South Ellison, aka Morrison Second, Block 13, Block 7 violation of Section 275-03 Code of El Reno, declaring a public nuisance of such nature because it constitutes grave immediate danger to public peace, health, safety, morals, welfare, directing city staff to demolish structure and clear property as quickly as possible, directing the city clerk to pursue recovery costs for such work done by the city, directing the treasurer to place any such liens for revenues collected from a specific fund for which said revenues are originally appropriated, and further directing a filing notice in the county clerk's office. Paul, this is a structure right here.
Are you opening the public hearing?
Yeah, I now consider public hearing open. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, question, Mayor.
Yes, Paul, this is, Mr. Broyles, this is brought to us This has been on our list for several months and years, or whatever else we've kind of had to go there, so tell me a little bit about it.
As I said, subject property, it's in the 800 block of South Ellison. It's a standalone two-car garage. It was converted from an old residence that burned. People came in and renovated it into a garage in 1985. It's in our R2 district. The issue has been that since they did the renovations and stuff, no improvements have ever been made to the property. So over time, the deterioration between no protective coverings and stuff like that, so the wood is starting to rot. The backyard, you'll see pictures of that, has basically been taken over by 2-inch saplings. But there's a pickup back there that you can't even impound because you can't get back there to it. Even we had a public hearing on appeals. During that time, even the owner admitted that the neighbor's tree has put a hole in his roof, and he's not making any attempts to repair it. So we brought it before the council for declaration.
Okay, thank you. Anybody here talk about the property? Anybody here talk about the property? Anybody here talk about the property? I now consider public hearing closed. We're going to be discussion and consideration to declaring 821 South Ellison, aka Morris, second lot 13, block 7 violation, section 275-134 of the Code of the City of Reno, declaring public nuisance of such nature constitute grave immediate danger, public peace, health, safety, morals, welfare, directing the city staff to demolish the structure and to clear the property as quickly as possible, directing the city clerk to pursue recovery costs of such work done by the city, directing the treasurer to place any such revenues collected into specific funds from which said revenues were originally appropriated, and further directing the filing of the notice of the county clerk's office. I have a motion. Second. Motion by Ryder, second by Ballhorn. Roll call start with Vice Mayor Cronister.
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yep.
Councilwoman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. Moving on to 14. To conduct a public hearing, consideration request by Crossroads Point LLC to amend PUD, a tract of land approximately 61 acres located in intersection Interstate 40 and US 81 within the Northwest 4th, Section 22, Township 12, North Range 7, in Canadian County. I now consider the public hearing open. Basically, Paul, we know what we're doing here. You and Mr. Ward are carving off another lot right there. We got another business coming in, a nice little restaurant to come in our facility. We've been working real good. You guys have done a great job with that. So we're all excited about them. And as soon as we vote yes, then we can start eating hamburgers.
This is the setback.
Setback part.
Setback change to be
Right. Just enough to allow them to have the
a smaller.
smaller frontage. Yeah. Okay? Any other questions? All right? Any other questions, concerns? Now consider public hearing closed. B, discussion, consideration, possible action. Ordinance 9173, discussion ordinance, well, it went to planning commission, no problem.
It did.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't add that on there, unanimous, sorry, I knew that. Ordinance Crossroads Point LLC to amend the planning unit, PUD, tract approximately 61 acres located intersection of I-40 and 81 within the Northwest 4, Section 22, Township 12, North Range 7, West Virginia Meridian, Canadian County, Oklahoma. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cronister. Roll call start with Cronister.
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Going to 15. 15, to conduct a public hearing, consideration request by Randy Hallback to reclassify the zoning district from residential RE to rural agriculture A1 to moderate industrial I2 on a tract approximately 5.5 acres located on West Jensen Road within the Northeast 4, Section 29, Township 12, North Range 7, west of the Indian Meridian, Canadian County, Oklahoma. I now consider the public hearing open. Dustin, get up here. All right. Big D, you took this to the Planning Commission,
Yes.
okay, and it's kind of a split decision.
Split decision. Motion was to recommend denial, and that motion did pass. There was one written formal protest which should be in your packet. It was read at the Planning Commission meeting. there was considerable discussion on this and the next, on this one item, the next one, and then the one that was actually pulled. There was another one that was going to come to this meeting, but the applicants have pulled that application. The general idea with this one and the next one, without trying to put them too far together, is to take this piece of property, which is directly across the street from Schlumberger, and rezone it industrial. The majority of comments were about whether or not that was appropriate with the large lot residential development to the south and east there on Choctaw.
Okay, thank you. All right. Randy, you here? Yep. You know what, do you have anything to add? I mean,
Well,
it's your property and you bought that, and there's some property there you've already improved by tearing some things down there. There's not houses there, and everything around you is industrial, everything's across the street is industrial. I mean,
yeah, I've lived in the area there for 38 years. And I bought that 10 and a half acres. And it was similar to the pictures you seen here of the old house. I mean, this was, 2 acres of it was a dump. You know that.
I know that.
And I cleaned it all up and everything like that. And I think in the past, that was really donated to be industrial, because just across the street on Jensen Road is industrial for almost 2 miles along there. And then on the south side of the road, you got Jensen's feedlots, which is fine. You got Helena Chemical, which is fine. You got another old junk house there. The people that owns that behind it, they want to redo theirs to industrial. And then across Choctaw, you have me, Ryan, and Roger, that has the 32 acres on the corner. Then you have a couple of houses, old houses. Then you have the power plant. You know, now when Schlumberger went in, I will say this about Schlumberger. I love them because they keep their area like a golf course. I mean, the lawn is beautiful, you know, and it did increase the traffic. But I will say this, I've been around them for years. They drive slow. And there's nothing wrong with traffic if they drive slow. We get more traffic through civilians driving 90 miles an hour down Choctaw, believe it or not. And, you know, so. But anyway, I feel like that this would be we just heard it from the hospital. You're all gonna search for the funds. Well, the funds has to come from somewhere. And the somewhere, in my opinion, would be to get more industries and tax money and stuff like that into the area. That's where funds come from. And this is what this would promote. Prior to this, I was approached by Jones Oil Company to put an oil well in the middle of that 10 acres. And I didn't go for that because I knew my neighbors wouldn't go for that. They moved just across Jensen Road and drilled on Baumhoff's. I turned that down because I do have consideration for my neighbors. I do. But what we're trying to get here at Zoned as, we're talking about a medium industries. We're not talking about some huge scrapyard.
sure.
It's just the medium industries. I don't know for sure, but it might be something like Dexter Axle. I don't know what their zoning is, but it's something similar, something not big and huge.
Well, and I think is that all you got, Randy?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think it goes, and you might help me, JT. But, you know, I'm kind of skipping to the next item because Scaramello's was over here before. You know, we had some issues with some of that, but right across the street, it's industrial. But since that time, we've changed, we've done that zoning that was based on some of this and some of the other stuff we're doing on 66, to protect the neighbors.
Yeah.
Whether that be lighting, fencing, landscaping, and how they can, do it. So what we were doing really before us, before we got there, before me, I was even mayor, the zoning is a lot different from what you and I were on that, committee and changing all that. I mean, you really were on the other committee than I was on. It was a long-term deal. It took us 2 years to get everything together. So really, we have a lot more restrictions on this stuff.
Yeah, I think that really kind of what happened in that planning commission meeting was that the audience kind of commingled that other zoning issue with this one, and so they expressed a lot of their comments in planning commission, and it just kind of got a little emotionally charged. But really, whenever it comes down to it, if you look at what's being proposed here, it's moderate industrial. The city of El Reno, like you said, Matt, a few years ago, we rewrote our industrial codes. Given that there's a residence to the south of this property, that's going to trigger the sensitive border standards. In this case, the performance of like the lighting, the noise, all the negative externalities, they're all going to have to be like a light industrial. So the only difference between a light industrial zoning and this moderate industrial is, I believe, building height is allowed to be a little bit taller, and the percentage of the yard occupied can be maybe 10% bigger. So really, the average person isn't even going to know the difference between that and a light industrial. So when you say, okay, can we put light industrial there? Well, yeah, of course we could, because that's what's in the whole area. It's not going to be a great area for commercial. It's going to have more of an industrial tone to it. So I was the one no vote on denying it, and yeah, that's my stance on it.
Well, some things I had a couple calls out for some of the people on the board. It's like you said, they had that deal out there by Terry's place. Well, we weren't going to vote. I mean, that wasn't right. I mean, who knows in the right mind was going to do that? Those people were all fired up and had pitchforks up there.
Yeah, I think all the commissioners.
I don't blame them all, but I mean, we weren't going to vote. No one's going to vote for that right anyway,
Yeah.
And I'm joking, Terry, but you know what I'm saying. I'm pointing you out. But I mean, we get that because that's not the proper zoning,
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that you got to allow people to do what they want to with their property to a certain extent if it doesn't intrude on the other owner's property.
There's a difference between putting industrial next to a residence and then next to 40 residences, and that was the real issue. I mean, you're not going to plant one right next to a neighborhood, a heavily populated neighborhood. But this is something we anticipated when we rewrote the code, was say, hey, we need to protect these people that are in ag zonings and residential estate zonings, and because industrial, you're always going to have a house here or there, and that's why we rewrote the codes. And we have the most protective codes of residential property owners that I know of in the state. I mean, so if you can't use this, I don't know what you can use.
No, I totally agree. Okay. Anybody else for the property? All right, against?
Dustin, do you mind telling us a little bit about that letter, because it's not in the packet? Do you know a little bit about what it might have said? I mean, would you just have one denial? One letter sent to you?
There was only one letter. I apologize that it didn't make the packet.
It wasn't there. I saw
It
it.
might be in the next.
Oh, no, it should be on the Hollenbeck rather than the Scaramella, but if it went.
Can you just tell us
Well, what did it say about it?
Generally speaking, it said that Choctaw Avenue in that area was a large lot residential area, and that they were concerned about changes to the character. They were concerned about added traffic on Choctaw, and what impacts that might have on people that walked or had kids playing in yards or things like that in that area. It requested that if there was a zoning, or if a zoning was approved, if the moderate industrial was approved on the Hollenbeck property, that no ingress or egress would be allowed on Choctaw, which is not something that can be handled in a straight zoning case.
But we recognize that.
But
Where's Jeff Kovac? We recognize that.
Mhm.
And Choctaw Street is on the list
Yeah.
of the $2 million, to almost $3 million worth of projects I'm trying to pry out of Marcia, that we're all trying to get these roads all over town. I mean, I got this,
That's coming up.
it's coming up big time, and that's one of them. We've already talked about right away to make that corner bigger because of the traffic there. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what has to happen.
And other concerns generally, Mr. Robinson and the council are noise, light, the types of things that we've specifically addressed, as Mr. Cronister said, with the sensitive portion.
Did this letter come from somebody on the north end, before?
What was the name, Dustin?
27?
JW and Lindsay Prince,
Okay. JW.
I believe they're on South Choctaw,
Yeah.
south of
They're across the street, once again, they're by Helena, they're by Helena and across the street from the neighbor's oil company.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Dustin.
All right. All right, anybody else against?
Sure, why not?
Come on up, dealer's choice.
Richard Camp,
Give me the address, Richard.
my address, 4920 South Choctaw. My north fence is their south fence. But regardless of that, this conversation's been going along since I was about 9 years old. Where are we gonna build residential housing? We're blocked in up the north, we're blocked in northwest, can't go east. Where are we gonna go? This gives me the opportunity to voice that. You know, these conversations are, for you math experts, are now 60 years old. They've been thinking about this, people were anyway, when I was 9. I remember those conversations. Whatever happens with this property, well, I'll live with it, but I won't live to see the repercussions of a decision that wasn't in the best interest.
Anybody else?
George Schaefer, 4507 South Country Club Road. I just got a couple questions. Okay, say we let modified industry go in there. What's going to stop them? I don't know if any of you guys watched on Channel 13 last night, Trenton, North Dakota, of the same type of process going on with the people in the city council not wanting a refinery going in. So then they get into another deal and it gets put in. And then all of a sudden, when this gets done, all of a sudden they want to reapply, since this was already approved for, I'll just use a prime example, modified industry. All of a sudden now, they want to change it to heavy industry because they've increased and they want to change this. Here, all of a sudden now, you've got heavy industry, which was supposed to have been light industry when we citizens of El Reno paid for this survey and stuff done in this community of what works best here, when, and where. You know, then the protection's gone. Well, so-and-so was able to do it down there, we're gonna do it down here. You can't stop us. There's gotta be a stopping point.
Okay, anybody else? Well, let me just kind of address a couple of those questions. Back to Mr. Kim's addition, I mean, we haven't had any calls for housing out there in that area. We don't have sewer out there, we're not built up for that, doesn't say we can't. That's not where developed area is going, it's going the other direction. We don't have the services that really we can. Those acre lots you're talking about, with the ones that we're seeing where they're building on the big tracks, 50 houses at a time, we're not gonna go up that area. Around the corner from George's house, right across the street, that's all zone industrial, heavy industrial. You know, the premiums, all that bass land is all industrial. We didn't do, some of the stuff was done back before then. I mean, there, you got a feedlot out there that's just a half a mile away. I smell every year when it rains, or every month when it rains. I understand where everybody's concerns are. We don't take them lightly. These deals, you never make people happy, but we've absolutely taken everything that these two gentlemen and everybody else has said and tried to basically correct it by putting these ordinances and things that we do in place now for the change of the zoning. And I don't know where he's coming from as far as George is coming from where the deal survey we paid for. That's what it was.
Well, I think that he might be referring to the southeast area industrial plan, but I think that was made back before we had the moderate zoning district.
It was made before we had the moderate deal. Once again, some of the facts don't, I mean, it's easy to kind of take shots at stuff we did. We absolutely take all these considerations in that. It's hard, it's gonna be hard for someone, I don't see someone going up there and building a house in the location that Mr. Scaramella or Randy's tore down. So when the other two houses come down, you're gonna be across the street from Schlumberger, which they got a great facility, it's nice, it's upgraded. I mean, it's one of the nicest facilities in town. There's a hell of a lot of money on the sales tax on the ad valorem for whatever school district that's in, I guarantee you. That goes to that, and I think that's what you're gonna see on the other one. I hear you. I think there is a stopping point, like George says, and like Buddy says. I don't see it going beyond that because you do have neighborhoods back behind, on the other side of that. But once again, like I told you, across the street in George, it's already zoned heavy industrial, right across the street, that bass land. So there's nothing we can do about that. That's been that way for 30-something years. So, you know, I mean, I don't know what other councils can do. I don't see us going any further. Do I see there a buffer zone in between there? Well, sure. I think that's what we're trying to talk about. You know, Jensen Road is absolutely a main thoroughfare for industrial. It has been for years. So, any other discussion? Any other comments? Do I have a motion? Motion. Oh, yeah. And that considers public hearing closed. We'll move on. Now, to discussion, consideration, possible action, ordinance number 9174. An ordinance is requested Randy Hollaback to reclassify zoning district from residential RE estates to rural agriculture A1, moderate industrial I2, and attract approximately 10.5 acres located on West Jensen Road within the Northwest 4, Section 29, Township 12, North Range 7, West of the Indian Meridian, Canadian County, Oklahoma.
I move that we deny.
Got a motion for deny? Do I have a second? Got a motion for deny? Got a second? Motion dies like a second.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? Roll call, let's start with Cronister.
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn.
Yes.
Councilman Robinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder. No. Mayor White.
Yes. Motion carries 4-1. Move on to 16. To conduct public hearing, consideration request by Ryan Scaramella to reclassify the zoning district from residential estates, RE, to moderate industrial, I2, in the tract of approximately 22 acres located on the West Jensen Road within North S4, Section 29, Township 12, North Range 7, West Indian Meridian, Canadian County, Oklahoma. Now consider public hearing open. Dustin, basically everything the same applies. Is that right?
Generally speaking, yes, sir.
Any other things? Was there a letter written, is there any protest letters written on this one?
The one protest letter referenced both of these applications.
Okay. Was it within the protest letter of this property though? Don't come up here.
Strictly speaking, yes, it referenced both this tract.
Did the letter have the right based on the 300 feet to do that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right. I'm not considering public hearing open. Any other discussion? Any other, besides what we talked about, I guess, same applies, buddy, is that right? Same concerns? George, same concerns? George?
If I can just reiterate a couple things. George, whenever you're talking about the southeast area industrial plan, and that was under the old light industrial, and the new moderate industrial has way more regulations
Yes.
than the old light industrial.
Absolutely.
But
I mean,
what I'm
work-
getting at though is, right, you give them moderate industry and they go in there.
Yeah.
What's gonna stop them then saying, oh, wait, we wanna move this up because we're getting bigger and we need a better deal,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, here we go, heavy industry.
Yeah. Well,
Where's it
I mean,
stop?
it works the other way, but not, if they say we want moderate and they say, never mind, we just want light, then we go, okay, you can have light, but that's our job to stop heavy industry like that. I mean, and I guess the second point I was gonna make on that is that even, you're better off, buddy, with the moderate industry, like I said before, because the sensitive border setback is farther, I believe it's 110 feet.
110
instead of
feet?
80 feet, so they're gonna perform the same.
I'm downhill from them anyway, doesn't make any difference.
Well, I'm just saying they're gonna be farther away in moderate industry, but they're gonna maybe take up a little bit more of the yard, but they're gonna be farther back, and they're gonna, the noise and lighting and all that's gonna be the same as light industry, you know? I think it sounds intimidating when you hear moderate industry, but the provisions we put in the code.
I've got Aurora Borealis over my backyard fence anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't make any difference. I think you're gonna make more money off of residential houses than any service organization is gonna pay you in sales tax. They don't pay any sales tax because they provide this service.
Yeah, but now, buddy, see, I don't mind taking a little criticism, and I'm all for it, you know me, but don't forget, you were up here a couple of months ago and put the mobile home park across there, and why didn't you put it in industrial? Why didn't you develop that with housing? Why didn't you make that housing? And that's, I mean, it's kind of those things, you can't.
There's be houses on
Well,
mine,
I
3 of them.
know, but it won't be there if you all of a sudden put a mobile home in there and you do that tract like that and you divide it up. Now, you can't do that. So, I mean, it's kind of those things, we're giving you the country living, which we're okay with, but we're coming up here and we're all upset about the other half of it. Really, we're taking all the complaints you guys are doing and we're trying to get a set up deal. Now, we can hear George up there badmouthing us up there at the park store and how we're not doing this, doing that. We're absolutely doing everything that we're trying to do to protect everybody, to make it fit in the overall plan. And now, I don't mind taking the hits a little bit, but I get to a point to where, you know, we do one meeting, we take one, and the other meeting, we do something else. Well, that's not right. I mean, I'm gonna take a little consideration of that.
Yeah, I'm all.
Because I'm like JT, we work real hard in order to make this work. We're not saying you're gonna be happy with this. I understand why you're both upset. I get it. It's changing out there in your neighborhood. I understand that. But we have to, we didn't do it last time because we didn't have the restrictions. And you guys were up here last time. And I denied you boys, did I not?
You did.
I voted you guys down dead center. Because it wasn't what George and them said. I agree with them. But we've changed that. And we have to change it. We have to grow and make it where all of us can be together. All right. I'm done preaching. I don't want to take a little bit of eating, but just take one bite at a time. All right. Any other discussion? Can I still in public hearing? You will. Let's get out of here. Any other discussion? I still love it. All right. I now consider public hearing closed. Now we'll move into discussion consideration of possible ordinance number 9175, an ordinance request of Brian Scaramell to reclassify zoning district from residential estates, RE, moderate, R2, to tract approximately 22 acres located along West Jensen Road within the Northeast 4, Section 29, Township 12, North Range 7, west of Reno, Canadian County, Oklahoma. JT?
Motion approved?
Second. Now roll call start with Cronister.
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yep.
Councilman Ryder? No. Mayor White?
Oh, yeah. Motion carries 4-1. Move on to 17, discussion very possible action regarding approval of contract for employment with Jeremy Frazier to serve as city manager for the city of El Reno. Per the authority?
Yeah, per the authorities.
Second. I got a motion, a second. Roll call, start with Tracy.
Yes. Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn? Yes. Vice Mayor Cronister?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Move on to 18, discussion consideration possible action regarding proposal to receive for park equipment, Frank Knight Park, Burton Park, Gadbury Park, and per authority, Robinson. Second by Ballhorn. Roll call, vote start with Ryder.
Yes.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cronster?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Number 19, discussion consideration possible action regarding the proposal received from new pavilions at Legion Park, at Municipal Swimming Pool, and at Burton Park. Got a per authority, Robinson?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Cronster. Roll call vote, Dr. Cronster.
Oh, yeah.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yep.
Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Reno? Yes. Mayor White?
Yes. Move on to 20, discussion consideration possible action regarding proposals for golf carts. Bob?
Yep.
Makes a motion for per authority, Bob?
Yep.
Second by Cronster. Roll call start with Cronster.
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yes.
Councilman Robinson?
Yep.
Councilwoman Ryder? Yes. Mayor White?
Oh, yeah. Move on to 21, discussion consideration possible action regarding proposals on ambulance services for City of Reno. No action. Number 22, discussion consideration possible action regarding proposals received from hospital healthcare services in the City of Reno. No action. Presentations financial report. Marcia, how we doing over there?
We're doing good. As Tracy and I discussed, we've down just a little bit, but the figure was still up from what we have in the past, so it's still great.
And we're getting ready to roll out a big road project to cover all the roads that you all discussed and put on the list and everything else. So, Jeff, we finalized everything. I think Steve's gonna bring that back, and we're gonna try to get that, so we're gonna start in the springtime. And a lot of the roads you're getting calls on now are on that list, I guarantee you. So if they're not, call Jeff, we'll get a copy of that list to you. Okay. Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
All
All right. To receive governing body training,
He wanted to announce that this is training.
yeah, I tell you what, the rest of these items, let's skip down, and we'll take a little break, because I want to say something to Cindy. Let's take a break, then we're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we'll get my main man up here, and he's going to give us a little training. You guys got to suffer through 30 minutes of this, and we get $10,000 cash. And he'll give it to us underneath the table here in a little bit. So, I'm joking about all that. Complete joke. And we're we got a grant if we go to this training, and it's good training, and it's good, and we also get that money for our city. So Lindsay and I signed you up. Really, Lindsay signed us up and didn't tell me about it. So when I found out about it's going to be 30 minutes, I told them I'm going to cut their tires. It's less than 20, so it'll be all right. So you got anything, JT?
No, sir.
Bob, you got anything?
No.
Tracy? No. What? Timmy, you got anything?
Yeah, just back to the roads deal, because I've had calls. Do we know a timeline of when we're going to try to start? Like, especially the Choctaw from I-40 to Jensen?
Yes.
That area is horrible, and I get a call on it once a day.
Absolutely. Tell them, we understand. We're trying to get the money together, Marcia. We got everything pretty well hammered out on the money. I'm gonna get it all spent before Jeremy gets here. But we got everything all lined up. We got the engineer estimate. Koba and I both had to drive some of them out. We did some corrections just because we don't need to do some of the things on there that they had on there. But we got all the hit lists that you're getting. I mean, even like out there, we got one today. We went out and graded South Kitchener Road. You know where the ag farm. But that's a chip and seal. We got it on the list. I mean, so we got chip and seal and all that stuff. I talked to the county commissioners today at a meeting, and they're going to give me some prices. But I also are going to go out to Woods, the Sun, and the other one to get bids, and have Steve Fox put bids out there. So we'll have a backup plan to get it done that we didn't get done last time. Does that make sense? So to answer your question, Councilman Robinson, we are going to have these out, and we're going to hopefully award the bid by next council meeting. Is that what our goal is?
And I'm assuming we got staff out patching potholes after the snow and stuff, because
It's terrible.
they're
all over. And we just got
They're
some calls.
everywhere and we get calls.
Terrible. But
So we're in process.
matter of fact, Kobe, I think you all, this next week, we got all the Christmas lights done. Our goal was to do the pothole patching this week since it's pretty.
The streets have been moved.
And they've got asphalt the last 2 days.
There's a really bad one on Rock Island and Elm.
Okay.
Right in that intersection.
Okay.
It's bad. It's gonna blow tires.
But they were supposed to.
That's the state. And we did call Tommy on that, didn't you?
We called Tommy, but they weren't going to get to it, so they were supposed, our crews were supposed to.
We'll throw it in there and see what we do. But we will get us patches. And I sent something else today too. It's kind of bad too, really.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm excited about firing the city manager, the old one. I guarantee you. That's all I got. All right. Let's take a 2-minute break, and then we'll get the training. We can let them set up.
We're going to reconvene in the open session for a presentation by Mr. Bill Tackett from OMAC.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, appreciate the opportunity to be here, and appreciate sitting through your meeting. You guys have got an outstanding young man as your new city manager. You guys have done very well. A really, really outstanding young man. Jeremy, congratulations. I mean, there's a ton of people proud. Really. And Jeremy told me a minute ago, after 90 days, he thinks he can get it up to $300 a month. That he can take.
Yeah, hold on, yeah.
Did I mishear you? 'Cause I thought that's,
You did mishear a little.
I thought that's what you said. Because I thought he can do more than 200. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna get my glasses. How many of you folks know what an OMAG is?
Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group.
Yeah, that's our name. How many of y'all folks know what we are?
Assured risk pool.
You're not employed yet, you don't count.
Insurance company.
OMAG is a Title 74 Interlocal Cooperative Act agency. Title 74 Interlocal Cooperative Act agency. That's what we are. And Title 74 is the most powerful tool that you folks have, and you don't even know it. Anything you can lawfully do by yourself, you can go find a partner and do it with them. It can be a school district, it can be the county, it can be the state, it can be the federales, it can be folks in Kansas. Anything you can lawfully do by yourself, you can get a partner and do it with you. So in June 1st of 1977, Choctaw Village couldn't get health insurance quotes in time to do their budget. And so OMAG was born, and we're 41 years old. You guys have had trustee hats on today. And so we're governed by a 7-member board of trustees. They're either elected or appointed officials in the state of Oklahoma. From those two towns, 41 years ago, Choctaw Village, we now have over 500 cities and towns, or right at 500 cities and towns, that belong to OMAG. You can think of a rural electric cooperative, or a rural water district, or a mutual insurance company. We were created by cities and towns, we're owned by cities and towns, and we're governed by cities and towns. Very much like Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund, very much like that group. Even though we're 41 years old, you can do interlocal agreements for almost anything, and they can be for a short period of time. Oklahoma City has stormwater detention ponds that catch water if it ever rains over in this part of the world, which it has here lately quite a bit. But they're too cheap to put fish in them. So they partnered with the wildlife department to put fish in them so kids in Oklahoma City can fish close to home. It's an interlocal agreement. During the summer, when they want kids to go to summer activities, they have to sign a 90-day interlocal agreement with the school in Oklahoma City for the buses and the bus drivers to tote the kids around. It runs for 90 days. School keeps their bus drivers employed. They get a little money for their buses. Oklahoma City doesn't have to buy a bunch of buses and employ people just during the summer. It's the most powerful tool that you have, and you don't even know it because it's a pretty obscure thing. Title 74, OMAG, is an Interlocal Cooperative Act agency. We're not regulated by the insurance commissioner. Our 7-member board of trustees sets our coverage document, sets your rates. 3.5 years ago, everyone in our plan had their liability rates lowered by 12%. When we turned 40 years old, we wanted to do a couple of things that we'd been thinking about quite a while. So on your top there, by the way, every one of you has an OMAG pin. That is the world's best pin, and you don't often get the world's best of anything, but that is the world's best pin.
Nice.
It's very nice.
I didn't get one.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
And so on the top page, it talks about OMAG retention, OMAG retention. We take 20% of your liability premium, 20% of your liability premium, we set it aside in the loss fund. If you don't have any claims, September of 2020, you'll get your first check, but you guys have had some claims. So your initial amount that you could have gotten in September 2020 was $21,500. Not bad, huh? No, it's not bad at all. You guys have had some claims, and so we've paid out, or we're in the process of having claims that are about $9,000 worth. So right now you still stand to get $12,000. Every year between July 1st and June 30th, every year between July 1st and June 30th, the retention program starts over. So if you didn't have any claims at all for tort claims, not workers' comp, not property, you could get the $21,500. That's our estimated number, right? But what if you had a terrible year and all of that went away? Well, July 1st starts a brand new year, right? So every year stands on its own. Now, if you had $21 million worth of claims, you probably get a special visit from me saying, hey, what are y'all doing? Knock it off. Please don't do that again, whatever you're doing. But every year, it'll be 3 years in arrears. You have an opportunity to get about $21,500 back based on your claims. Your green sheet of paper is called the recognition program. There's four.
Bill, to ask you a quick question, but for our side of the city, I mean, we're really okay with our claims, aren't we? I mean, as far as
$9,000 worth of claims wasn't very much at all. 6,700 of that was automobiles. 2,500 of that was somebody fell down on the sidewalk, sewer back up, police hit somebody with a stick, something. That's very low, very low. And that is, we're 7 months past the end of the period, so your claims continue to mature and develop. That's why you can't get a check for 3 years. It takes that long for attorneys to decide if they're going to sue you or whatever. No, really good, really good. The second program is a recognition, and this is the second year we've done this program, and there's 4 steps to it. And I appreciate you all joining in the recognition program this year. Today, be completing the recognition program. We will give you not tonight, I didn't bring the under the table cash with me, but you all will receive a $10,000 check. Not a credit on your bill, a $10,000 check you can use for any lawful purpose. This evening I have with me Aubrey Weatherford. Aubrey is with Oklahoma Municipal Management Services and the municipal consultants firm, and she assists doing this. Normally David Weatherford does this training. He's a city attorney for Manford, Mounds, and Sand Springs over in the Tulsa area. Tonight's the Mounds City Council Town Board of Trustee meeting. So you all have Plan B today, but you'll still get the full $10,000. We also have Monica Coleman here. Monica is a brand new employee with OMEG. Monica spent a long period of time with the city of Oklahoma City. She's an attorney. She's our 4th attorney, and she's a graduate of UCO. Is that right? UCO? OCU. It has a lot of vowels in it and 1 consonant, so that's what I know about that. But we're really glad that Monica's a part of our team. She's been with us 3 weeks, and she'll be doing a lot of HR training, and she'll be an additional resource available for you all. So we talked about all of that, and I'm supposed to holler out, Allie, every time I want the slide changed. So, Allie. Why do we do this training? Well, because we think the best-run cities and towns have fewer claims, and the claims they have cost less money to resolve. There's not a lot of training for you guys. Everybody that's newly appointed or newly elected has to go through the Municipal League newly elected officials training, and that's great training. There's nothing wrong with that. But we think there's value in having more training going on. City managers, city clerks, police chiefs, fire chiefs, a lot of people get trained. There's not a lot of training for what you all do, and so that's why we bring this training. You guys are a board of directors of a municipal corporation. I don't know if you thought about that when you ran for office or not. You probably did not. And a lot of times when you get elected, the only thing you know is you got 1 more vote than the guy or the gal that ran against you. But you're a board of directors of a municipal corporation, Allie. As such, you have the same 3 duties as any other board of directors. You have the same duties, you have the exact same duties of the board of directors of Walmart or the local bank or Schlumberger. And those are care, obedience, and loyalty. Those are your 3 fiduciary duties. You have your duty of loyalty is to this organization as a whole, not to any one neighborhood or any one person, not to any one church or school. It's to what is the best for the community as a whole. That's where your loyalty lies. You have a duty of care. That duty of care means you're supposed to be prepared when you come to this meeting. And so the binders, the packets, the material that the staff prepares, you have to read that. You have to be prepared. You have to know enough information to cast an informed vote. So you have those 3 duties. You have three resources: time, money, and people. Time, money, and people. We talked about money today and how to get more of it. Your mayor likes spending money, doing projects. The only time that you guys have to operate is when you are under a duly posted meeting, under the open meeting law, and that's about 12 times a year. And so what I've done for the last couple of years is I've gone through, when we do this training, and I look at your agenda items for the previous year. Pretty exciting work, reading agenda items for a year. But I like that kind of thing.
He does.
I do like that kind of thing. Matter of fact, a couple of months ago, we were on vacation just north of San Francisco, and San Rafael City Council meeting was on TV. And I was in the hotel. My wife was in the other room in the hotel, and I'm watching the San Rafael City Council meeting. And she walks in from the other room. She says, "What's that?" I said, It's a city council meeting. They're televising it." She said, "No." I said, "I'm on vacation." She said, "I'm on vacation too. We're not watching the city council meeting." I said, "Well, it's pretty interesting if you just kind of give it a chance." So anyway,
Bill doesn't have a lot of friends.
that's as far.
I like him, but I believe about the only me and two other people. But
I don't know where I don't know how they wound up voting. We had to change the channel.
You were the wife.
Time, money, and people. How do you guys spend your time? The only time that you have is 12 times a year, not counting special meetings, right? So what do you do? How do you spend your time? Well, I looked at your agenda items, regular topics, not special meetings, not consent. These are just your regular meetings. You guys do a really good job, by the way. Because what we need on here, what we need to see on here is you all doing only the things that you can do, not doing administrative things. You don't need to be doing administrative things. You need to be doing what only the governing body can do. So, mostly you guys do zoning, public hearings, contracts, you make appointments, you pass ordinances. These are the things that only the governing body can do. You're doing a good job with your time, with that resource. And I've gone back and looked at agenda items for a lot of towns. We did 53 of these in person last year. And you all are about the 115th city to receive this training in person. David Weatherford started it about 8 years ago. So you guys are doing a great job. So your three resources are time, money, and people. You're spending your time well. You guys, Marcia's actively managing your money. I think you guys have 38 or 9 budget adjustments, so you guys are actively managing your money. And of course people, and that's up to Jeremy and other people. You all have 3 jobs. You have 3 duties, 3 resources, and 3 jobs. Your only job is to say El Reno's going over here. And you guys can get input from your pastors, your friends, the parts store, the donut shop, Brain Trust, anybody that wants to talk to y'all. But only you guys around the horseshoe, and ladies, can say this is where we're going. You set a strategic vision, a strategic goal. That's your job. You pass ordinances or resolutions or procedures or processes to help staff take you where you say you're going to go, and then you monitor results. Like a 5-year-old in a back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And look how you spend your time. Right after ordinances, you receive financial reports, you receive miscellaneous reports. You guys are doing a great job, really, and to be commended. Those are your 3 jobs, your 3 resources, and your 3 duties. Allie. We believe the old saying of what gets measured gets done is true. Most of y'all, you're not, Jeremy's not. I don't guess at ladies' ages or weights, but some of you guys are as old as I am, and so you know what gets measured gets done. You heard that when you were little. People across the parking lot from us have added to it. What gets measured gets done. What gets measured with feedback gets improved. So y'all going to take a test tonight. What gets measured with feedback gets improved. And what gets measured and rewarded gets repeated. And you're earning $10,000 for your city tonight. What gets measured gets done. What gets measured with feedback gets improved. What gets measured and rewarded gets repeated. That's why we do this. Allie. Allie, let's skip that. Got to do 4 things. You have to have a council handbook, not an employee handbook. a year and a half ago, there was maybe 3 towns in the state that had a council handbook. A council handbook is a vital tool because if you're a newly elected person, the only thing you know is you got enough votes to sit down there. They said, here's where you sit, this is yes, this is no, good luck to you. And you wait for the newly elected officials training. A handbook is an orientation tool. It helps you get a faster start. It keeps you out of trouble. It tells you how to win at your job. It helps you perpetuate your culture. So when your great-granddaughter sits in this seat, you have hopefully perpetuated a culture that's not only sound now, but improving over time. That's what a council handbook does. You watch a 4-minute video, we're going to watch that in just a minute. You take a test, and we do a little bit of training, and that's what this process is consisted of. Allie, you think it'll play? Man, the tension is just off the chart. It's like waiting for the Apollo moonshot to go off. It's just amazingly tense. Allie, what do you think? Go to the end? Skip it till the end? We'll skip to the end. You guys got something to wait on. What does your city do well? You all ought to have in your pocket, in your wallet, somewhere on your person, you ought to have a piece of paper that has 10 things on it that says what El Reno does good. What do you do well? Lots of people tell you what you do wrong or what's not right. You have a responsibility to know 10 things that your city does well. City manager of Sand Springs keeps it in her portfolio, and every time she talks to the Lions, the Tigers, the Bears, the Rotarians, the Kiwanians, the Chamber of Commerce, the economic prospects, she has a list of 10 things that Sand Springs does very well. You all ought to do that because you're an advocate for this community. And I won't ask you to make that list tonight, but I will ask you to make it. Give it some thought. Make it an agenda item when you have some slack in your rope. Have 10 things that this town does really well that you can advocate for. If you can't come up with 10, come up with 6, 7, 5. Think about it in advance. Allie. We talked about that. Allie. We've been everywhere. We've done this training in person about 115 times. There's not that many dots up there, but we've been everywhere. We've been everywhere across the state, and thousands of people have taken the stability test. I'll hand out the test. Now, this is like a standardized test. I want all pencils down, no markings on the exam before we start. You have to understand the question fully before you can mark your answer. These test scores will not in any way affect your insurance rates. I won't see them. I'll only see a composite score. Aubrey Weatherford will collect them. She'll give me a composite of them, and I will return them to you in the form of a letter. There's only one requirement for this test. There's only one requirement for this test. You have to be honest. Because tonight we're setting a 0 on the number line. We're setting a datum. And the beauty of this thing is if you guys will do it every year between July 1st and June 30th, if you'll take training, which won't be the same every year, you'll get the $10,000 check, you'll take this test, and over time, longitudinally, you'll be able to say, are we getting better, getting worse, or staying the same in these 10 key areas of municipal operations. And it doesn't matter that you hit the jackpot and decide you don't want to do this anymore and move to Aruba, because the next person sitting here will take that test. And even though the same person doesn't take the test, they'll be taking the same test, right? And so you will be able to measure your improvement or your stability or your lack of improvement over time. Stability test was developed in the Tulsa area by David Weatherford and several other people doing input, and it's been taken for a long, long time. Allie, very first question. Mayor's going to catch up. Do you have enough money to operate? I need a number between 1 and 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sometimes we've gotten scores that's either got a 1, a 5, or a 10 on them. Those are not your only options. You can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. If you get a 10, here's what you're saying. You're saying, yes, we have a written policy that requires at least 20% of our general fund be in a savings account. That's a 10. If you don't have that, you're not a 10. If you have 20%, 30%, 100%, but you don't have a written policy in the form of a policy, a resolution, or ordinance, you can't get a 10. So somewhere between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, give yourself a score. We've seen every score on here. Just circle it. And if you do give yourself a 10, you'll see that there's a place for you to tell me about your written policy. And if you don't know, I won't be surprised, but you should know because you have a fiduciary duty to know. Question 2. Allie, how stable is your governing body? A 10 is we have great, well-informed, engaged elected officials. When we've had elections, most candidates have been well qualified. That's a 10. A 5, somewhere in the middle, is the majority is pretty good, but we've got some that are very bad. And a 1 is we need a brand new crowd because everybody's not too great. Somewhere between a 1 and a 10, give yourself a score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, give yourself a score. Allie. Question 3, meetings. How good are your meetings? Now, I've already bragged on your meetings, but it's not up to me. I'm not making the score. How good are your meetings? Your meetings are the meeting of a professional board of directors of a municipal corporation. That's what you need to think of. Stream Facebook Live. There's people here in person. The newspaper's taking pictures and writing a story. So between 1 and 10, give yourself a score. A 10 would be our meetings are professional, business-like, joy to attend. A 5 would be they're boring, not much gets accomplished. That's not going to be true with your current mayor. The 1 is they're terrible and I don't like coming to them. Give yourself a score, somewhere in between a 1 and a 10.
This one's
That's
question 3.
Question 3, Allie. Question 4, and we're not interested in any one particular employee. We're not picking it. If you love the police chief, you hate the fire chief, that's not what we're talking about. And you have a council manager form of government, your manager's in charge of your personnel. But overall, how good is your workforce? A 10 is our employees work very hard, they care about the city, they enjoy their work, and they're proud to work here. Somewhere in the middle, our employees mean well. They might not work as hard as private sector folks, but they probably maybe don't make the same money. A 1 is we got trouble. Lots of turnover, lots of claims. It shows up in work comp claims, discrimination claims, and when we have a vacancy, we have trouble attracting the kind of folks that we want to be a part of our team. That's a 1. Somewhere between a 1 and a 10, circle a number, give yourself a score. Question 5, public image. Allie, there we go. What does the public think about your town? A 10 is we have very little public input at the meetings. Public seems to trust our elected officials to make good decisions. We seldom have disgruntled citizens appear at the meetings. When we do, discussion is civil and respectful. The city has a good reputation, seen as a leader in the region. That's a 10. A 5 is public doesn't seem to care what we're doing, doesn't pay much attention. A 1 is it's pitchforks and torches. Lots of disgruntled folks, lots of drama at the meetings. Give yourself a score between 1 and 10 on that question. Question number 6, Allie. Crisis management. Cities exist to deal with crises. How well does El Reno handle a crisis? A 10 is we come together as a team, we work very hard, we're not afraid to ask for help. When it's over, we evaluate how well we did. A 5 is we get through it somehow, and a 1 is crisis means it's Tuesday. Every day is a crisis. Question 7, Allie. Economic development. How active are you in economic development? A 10 is we're continually working on projects. We're optimistic better times are ahead. A 5 is if something comes along, that's what we'll try to do. A 1 is we've not pursued that, and that's not what we're doing. Somewhere between a 1 and a 10, give yourself a score on economic development. Allie. Planning and goal setting. How well do you plan and set goals for city projects? A 10 is elected officials, administration, and all staff work well to create well-defined goals and that we work to accomplish. A 5 is once in a while we get a project, we'll talk about it. Sometimes we follow through. A 1 is we're lucky to get through the day. It's not much planning goes on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Give yourself a score. Alley. This is working out better than I thought. How stable has your upper management been? We just ran off the last city manager in the previous part of the meeting, so management's been stable over a long period of time. We find a way to work together to set goals, communicate well, continuity in management. If we do have turnover, we attract good candidates because the city's a good place to work. That's a 10. A 5 is our leadership changes regularly. We have to readjust, take a new direction. Sometimes it gets better, sometimes it doesn't. A 1 is lots of change. Maybe folks haven't been treated well in the past. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Somewhere, give yourself a score on that. And that's not just, by the way, that's not just city manager. That's your leadership as a whole. That's your department heads, that's your leadership. Alley. How well do we communicate? A 10 would be everybody from the top to the bottom, side to side, informed of major activities, speak our minds, express our opinions. There's no retribution. A 5 is we get random information, not much continuity. A 1 is we don't really know what's going on. Somewhere between 1 and 10, give yourself a score. Don't bother to add it up at the bottom. That gives Aubrey something to do on the way home. If you'll write El Reno at the bottom, if you'll circle elected or other. Now, Aubrey will take these home. She'll compile them. You'll get a score of the compiled deals, and then you'll have a. You'll see how you do. Well, our slide is projecting a little bigger than I thought, but let's not monkey with it. We've given this test a lot of times, so overall, you guys see that the lowest score across the state, across the 115 towns that's done this, across the thousands of people that's taken this, over 1,000, not thousands, because we've given it at clerks and treasurers, conferences, city managers conference and everything. Lowest score is public image.
Is what?
Public image.
Yeah, I got you.
And it doesn't matter if you're a little town or a big town. That's the lowest score. Isn't it? Now, you would think that would be the easiest thing to control, wouldn't you? I mean, time, money, and people, those are your resources. You can't make any more time. It's hard to make more money. People are tough to deal with. Ask my wife. But you would think public image, I mean, a guy named Mike Nunley used to do this training with David Weatherford. Mike used to say a lot of these little towns would do a lot better with 5 gallons of Roundup and 10 gallons of paint. You know, it seemed like it wouldn't, you know, show some pride, keep your stuff up, put a clean uniform on your employees, keep your equipment up, conduct your business meetings like a business meeting. But across the board, that's the lowest score. There's maybe a couple of things that help influence this. Facebook Live probably didn't solve all the world's problems. You know? Maybe it depends on who we're comparing ourselves to. And I obviously don't know what y'all's scores are, but I would be very surprised if your lowest score isn't public image. Now, what's the highest score across the board? The highest score across the board is crisis management. Cities exist to deal with crises. And it seems like that brings out the better angels in us. When a crisis happens, people tend to pull together. And a crisis doesn't have to be the tornadoes that hit El Reno. It can be water plants down, we got to bring in potable water, and community pulls together. Right? It can be a variety of things. So over time, I think we started doing this 8 years ago with the stability test. Lowest score is always public image, highest is always crisis management. I will tell you, economic development depends on how big you are. The little town I live in would be a 5. If something comes along, they'll try to help. It also depends on whether you're east or west of I-35. Out west, there's not as much economic development activity by cities and towns as there is back east. It's rural, it's east and west. It's size of towns. Alley. Last year, Alley.
Allie.
Last year, the lowest score we saw was a 50.4, and the highest score we saw was a 94.2. And I'm happy with that, because that tells me that people listened and took serious what we said. The only requirement for taking this test is be honest, because we're setting a 0 tonight, a datum from which we will measure going forward. And really, this, I'm not telling you guys anything new. This is just the same stuff the Apostle Paul says in the New Testament. You plow, you plant, you water, you weed, you wait, and the good Lord gives the increase. You're interested in what happens over time. Lots of times, we're event-driven people, and that's because of the way we're raised. Birthdays, Halloween, Christmas break, summer break, Thanksgiving, deer season starting, deer season's over. It's an event. Life is a process. What we want you all to think about is trends over time. We want you to think about the process that you're engaged in. It does evolve into events eventually. But you know what? When you fill potholes or you overlay an existing street, there's no ribbon gets cut for that. You put paint on a building, you take care of what you got before you ask for new, there's no ribbons cut for that. It's a process. Alley. Do you guys have a written policy for your financial stability part of your quest agenda? And I would encourage staff not to assist. You can't phone a friend, you can't poll the audience. Do you guys have a written policy? It's okay not to know. Most towns don't. Why is it important to have a written policy rather than having 20% of the general fund in the bank? Because you're informing the people that's coming after you that this is our culture. And if you set your policy by ordinance, and it doesn't have to be 20%, set something that's reasonable. If 4% is reasonable, write it in the ordinance. Why would you put it in the ordinance? Because if the people who come after you want to change it, if they're going to do it lawfully, then they have to change the ordinance. You can do it by resolution. Doesn't carry the same weight. But you need to, one of the most important things you guys will do is perpetuate your culture, because everything has a culture. Remember the Waltons, good night Grandma, good night John Boy, good night Mary Ellen, Sue Ellen. Remember that? Waltons have a culture. Schools have a culture, families have a culture, neighborhoods have a culture, communities have a culture, everything has a culture. The Walton family had a culture. The Gambino crime family in New York City has a culture also. It's different, but they have one. You are trying to create and perpetuate a culture, because one day you guys and gals won't be sitting here. Somebody else will be a fresh crop, just like you're talking about. Don't ding me for what happened 30 years ago, right? Well, 30 years from now, there'll be a fresh crop of faces. And if you are successful in perpetuating the culture, then you'll be one of the best run cities and towns, and OMAG will pay fewer claims, and the claims we do have to pay will cost less money for the pool. Simple monthly reports, we're working on that. We have started the City Management Association of Oklahoma started a brand new interlocal. It's called Oklahoma Municipal Management Services. I worked with your treasurer today. We're going to try to come up with a standardized monthly financial report. You all may be too big for it, but there's lots of these towns that don't have anything. Allie. We're going to go through these very quickly. Our CFO, Mr. Holland, has been, the very first question we ask is, do you have enough money to operate? So our CFO has gone to the State Auditor Inspector's Office and pulled audits for all the communities that we're doing the training for the last 4 or 5 years, because we want to look at how you're doing over time. This is the kind of information you should be getting. You want information. Whatever you're getting now is not wrong. There's no criticism for what you're doing. But what you want to look at is trends over time, right? 1 year's audit doesn't tell you much. I can tell you that Brian was able to find that your tax revenue has been growing. Congratulations. Your other revenue has, your fines, forfeitures, and all those other things have stayed the same. Your royalties, whatever that is, jumped way up there. That's a big plus.
It was a big plus. We had a hell of an auctioneer do that.
That's a big plus. But you need to, you know, my first city manager I ever worked for said, if the money ain't right, ain't nothing right. And grammar's bad, but the sentiment's correct. Money's got to be right. Allie. Your budget, your red color and your orange color. The red color is your budgeted general fund revenues, and the orange is the actual. So until this year, you've been a little more optimistic on how much revenue is going to come in, and a little more aggressive in budgeting your revenues than the actual. Allie. But conversely, your appropriations have been less than your revenues come in. So you've been conservative about that. That's a good thing.
And also, if you go back to that other one, Bill.
Allie, go back.
The bottom line is also we've lived out some of that emergency fund on some of those deals, and that's been built back up. Is that right, Matt? I should be, I mean, the emergency fund's almost all the way built back up now. So, and we budgeted for that. And there's a period of just exactly what that chart shows.
Very good.
Allie.
Push your button. You've been, Allie, push your button. Unassigned general fund balance was at about 13% in 14, went down to 4% in 16. 17, it's back up to about 13%. It's information that I would encourage you guys to have it at least on a regular basis, quarterly or something, so that you understand the direction. Allie. Well, let's see what this one says. Oh, this is your net position. So your net position has been stable and trending upward. That's positive. Allie. I don't know why our slides are jabber-wobbered like that. Allie, push the button. City services budgets got above 16 million in 16. Looks like it's down about 700,000, something like that. Kind of leveling off a little bit, stabilizing a little bit. Allie, push the button. Governing body stability, you guys are in a council manager form of government. Understand your limited role. You guys have all the power that the charter and the state law grant you as you sit here tonight. But when you dismiss, with the exception of the mayor who has some duties perhaps by charter or statute in times of civil unrest or other problems, you're just a citizen of El Reno. And so as such, you know, you're a board of directors. And as you're constituted tonight under a legally posted meeting, you have the authority that is granted to you. But otherwise, you're a citizen. Do you guys do planning retreats?
No. That's a good point. I was just going to say, we've done those in the past, and we have not, we've gotten away from that because of kind of the changing that. That's one thing we need to absolutely do. Those are really good, Bill, and they help bring team building and basically more road building, and we need to do that, Jeremy. That's one thing that we have not done the last couple of years. We've done in the past. We've had some, but we need to at least have one retreat a year. Absolutely.
No.
10 grand, you know?
There you go.
Good retreat.
Yeah,
That's,
so Mexico.
absolutely. Yeah, you can get there, you can't come back, but you can go there. Towns do this some different ways. City of Sand Springs does it 4 times a year, and they just have a lunch. Coweta has it on a Saturday. It has to be a posted meeting. Some people think, oh, that's terrible. It's not terrible. Just, there's no action items. There's discussion. You take minutes and notes. You pass a resolution at the next meeting saying, this is what we want to do coming out of our planning retreat. I've had some towns when we've done this training say, well, we do planning when we adopt the budget. Well, that's a 12-month plan. And you need a short-term plan, and you need to work that, but you need a longer plan. So you can do it in a day. You could do it 2 or 3 times a year. It's good to do it probably away from a regular meeting. You guys have very full meetings. Do y'all have a code of ethics?
We do not have a
Okay. And you guys need to be visible in the community. You do. Y'all need to be visible in the community. Allie, y'all are having business meetings. I think you do a good job with that. Allie. Here's a short video. You guys have good meetings. Here's what a bad meeting looks like. What's the chances, Mayor? Think he's going to play?
Just sitting there, not saying anything.
Yeah.
terrible meeting.
Terrible.
Terrible meeting.
Just stare, you know?
Play. You can go on the YouTube and watch that. That lady and the former mayor, I think, got to go to the Gray Bar Inn. That was interesting.
Gray Bar Inn, is that what you said?
Prison. Yeah. You know, Tony Robbins, if he ever got sent to prison, he'd tell people he lived in a gated community, I think. That's the way he is. Y'all treat your employees such that you're able to attract and retain the kind of folks you want. It's important over time. If you can't get there all at once, get there a little bit at a time. If you're there, you know, we got to pay our bills, but you know what you really want? You really want to be appreciated. And I'm not talking about everybody gets a participation trophy. And I'm not talking about you managed to hang on long time. I'm talking about a sincere thank you once in a while. Man, that'll get a person up out of bed, because they're not going to hear thank you very much outside of here. And it doesn't mean El Reno's a bad place. I'm talking about we've been all over the state of Oklahoma. A sincere thank you goes a long way for your employees. And I'm not saying you're not doing it now. Show appreciation. You know, Jeremy, cook them a meal once in a while. Next slide, Allie. How do you guys get information out? Do you guys do a newsletter? Do you have a Facebook page?
We have a newsletter that we put in the Tribune back page. Do that, I think, once a month. And then we have a pretty real good presence on Twitter and Facebook.
When you do the breakfast.
Yeah, and then what we did was, Bill, we really kind of have a fun deal going now that we've done it for about a year. We have done it for a year. Tracy, is that right? Yeah, a year. The school superintendent and myself, we do a deal called El Reno Now. As a matter of fact, Jody Lewis is going to be one of our guest speakers next month. And we've had everybody from Nick Cornett, we've had the governor candidates there, we've had Anastasia Pittman. But what we do is we do a little program where we do present to the city, and we usually have about 100, 110 people. It's a compact room.
Wow.
And it's at our other facility. And next month we're going to introduce Jeremy and have him just do a quick little talk. And Joe's going to be our main speaker. But just kind of tell you what's going on in the city, where we got new signs coming down. We got brand new signs coming downtown. So we showed people pictures of all the signs and the new signage that we have coming downtown, or the videos that we do on Facebook. That we do funny videos. We do. We're trying to enhance our public image as far as we're using our CBD money to do some of our commercials that you see on Channel 4, 5, and 9. So.
Now, you guys got an award at the municipal conference?
We did, and that was the award was based on the
It was our
66
innovation project is what the award was for 66 Monument.
That was very well done.
Yeah, and it was a neat deal. We all I saw him on vacation, came back, and we all like it, and everybody loves it. I mean, everybody, I think everybody's here's either kid or grandkid, or everybody else is taking a picture there.
It's on the Thunder intro.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's on the Thunder intro. And then when Channel 9 has their, you know how they have that storm, when storms are coming your way, and they have a little segment, it has the El Reno cheese right in the background. It's crazy, but it's good.
When they filmed the ice or the snowstorm that day, they filmed
It shows up there now all the time, yeah, so.
Very good, very good. Ally? Crisis management, you guys toured your facilities as a group or individually?
Not as a group, but we probably need to do that again too. We did that, JT, I think Jake, you're the last one, you know.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, and we need to do that again now. Tim and I have taken you to different facilities as far as, and Bob, well, you know, I have, it's the only place that Tracy probably hadn't, but, you know, we probably need to do that more, especially like when we got a new sewer plant open. It sounds kind of fun. I don't know if everybody wants to dive into the sewer plant, but we need to go look at it. I mean, I'm true all, but we need to have probably something to do that, Bill.
Y'all need to understand those things, and it helps you at budget time. I know staff creates the budget at the workshops and everything, but you guys allocate the resources.
Yeah.
And so it helps you. Also, by the way, OMAG has a bunch of grants. Did you guys buy police body-worn cameras tonight?
No, and we talked about Love, Matt Love, and we're getting in that right now. As a matter of fact, Bill, we had a crisis management situation. We had a situation where one of our animal control officers was caught on a Ring camera. Basically, you know, it showed that it looked absolutely like he sprayed his dogs, you know. We did an investigation, internal investigation. Of course, they showed that they couldn't find any spray on there or anything else. But the bottom line is that if we had those body cams on there, we would do that. I have prices to present to Germany and to the council. It's $118,000.
OMAG has a grant that'll help you with that.
And we talked to Love about that. And we're looking to get that deal done because that would help us in that situation. And we could have determined at that point in time if he sprayed him or not. I mean, it would have clearly showed, hopefully, we say that, but it would have hopefully had more on us to determine that than just have a report that we're crooked and it's swept under the rug, which we didn't.
Right. We also have grants if, I don't know if you guys have a sanitary sewer camera or not. We have a grant to help you buy that. We have a neat tool. It's called the Sewer Rat, and it's at no cost. We loan it out. It helps you evaluate your individual sanitary sewer line segments. Manholes are about 300 foot apart, and so it sends a sonic wave, an acoustic wave through the pipe, gives it a rating, color codes your lines, and then, here's the neat part, pushes it up on Google Earth, and you have a color-coded map of your sewer system on Google Earth. And it's really cool, helps you allocate resources. So we have body-worn camera, we have sewer camera, and we have the rat. So that's Ally. I know you guys are doing economic development, so we're not going to spend much time here. Ally. You guys need to be good about communicating your expectations. Y'all need to be good about communicating your expectations. That's fair. That's fair. Right? Y'all, and you can't communicate what you don't know. So you guys, as a cohesive group, need to agree on expectations, and if you don't agree, but they voted, that's where we're going, right? It doesn't mean you're a dish rag and we just lay down, but once a decision's made, you guys have to get behind it to the very fullest extent that you can, and then you need to communicate the expectations to your team leaders. It's important. Ally. I think you guys are doing a good job with this. We've talked about that. Ally. Thanks for letting us come. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Bill, really, I want to say something, and I want to make sure, I know we're in a hurry, about meeting. You mentioned Donnelly. You know, he just passed away. you know, if you guys have ever, I went to some of his seminars, and he taught all kinds of classes for OMAG, for just education to make public officials really better public officials. And who's the lawyer that always went with him?
David Weatherford.
Yeah, Weatherford, David. And just a class act as far as that goes. If you've ever been to one of his, matter of fact, Jeremy, I went to his seminar to hire a city manager several years ago. And just like this training right here, there's things that I've been in government for a long time, but always help you refresh. You know, when I went to that training, not only basically said, you know, you're trying to hire a city manager. Well, what do you rate your city at? So that it, you know, made me think to myself, well, hell, I never did that. Well, that's what that guy's looking at you for, you know. And the bottom line is, you know, just like the deal, we absolutely need to have a retreat at least once a year. I think that's a great idea. We have not done that, Jeremy. We need to do that. And then the other thing is, we need to have a semi-tour of the city. You know, it shouldn't be a full day deal, but it should be a half day. And also, we absolutely will work on that, Jeremy. We need to also have, by next year, let's have a council welcome book. It just kind of has a code of ethics. It just kind of has a bullet point of what's expected, what you can't do. The training course that you have, that everybody up here's been to, you know, they didn't have that when I was back in the 90s. You know, when I went ahead and went to it, but it was really good training.
It is. It's a little grueling, but it's worth it.
Now, we did do this, Bill. We did, after the training, we had some other people in here, and I brought Dan and some old people back, and we did that. We have, if you notice, our growth pattern has been so much because of our economic development growth. We called OML, and who came out? What's his name? The attorney, the young man. Daniel. And they helped train all of our planning commission. And not only that, we invited everybody to see us around here. So Calumet came, Union City came. We had a nice little crowd on a Friday night. I can't believe it. Yeah, Gary and Karchi. So, you know, we were experiencing that. And so my planning commission asked me, you know, we need to get some help. So I did that and asked them, and it was great. So those resources, we really appreciate everything you all do. It makes us better. I can speak for everybody up here. Everybody up here wants to do good for the citizens. We want everybody up here, including our staff, wants this community to succeed. We want to have nice things. We want our kids to be safe, and we want everybody to be happy at work. That's a period in the story. But I do agree, we need to work on some things, and I'm glad you came tonight, because the retreat's an absolutely wonderful idea that we need to focus on, and we need to focus more on a handbook for newly elected officials from us, from our perspective as a city, with a kind of a brief tour, a half a day deal to do that water plant, to do the sewer plant. And I'll be glad to take you around, because I know everything about all of them. I've done them all. But it's interesting. It is fun. It is neat.
I think on your agenda, I think you have something about a handbook, and that's something that we've made available on our website as a starter unit. If you do take action tonight, that's fine. If you take action at a future meeting, that's fine. In the future, after July 1st starts the new year, you would review, update. And every year, the goal is to make the handbook fit El Reno better.
That's great that we can handle.
Yeah, David Weatherford, it's his work. So, and Mayor, a long time ago in the Wayback Machine, I used to sit around at a horseshoe, and I appreciate what you all do. I appreciate what you all do. Thank you for volunteering, for caring about your community, for giving of your time, for running for office, for putting your name up there and having signs. That's daunting. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate what you all do for communities. And
Thanks, Bill.
congratulations.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all for coming out. All right, we'll move on to 25, discussion. Gilly, you ready? Go ahead, 25, discussion consideration on possible action, approval of resolution number 1922, the resolution adopting a best practice handbook for the governing body. I make a motion we approve, and a second by Ryder. Roll call start with Ryder.
Yes. Councilman Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cronister?
Yes.
Mayor White?
Yes. Move on to 26, discussion consideration possible action regarding resolution number 1923, resolution regarding Oklahoma Municipal Insurance Group, OMAG recognition program. we want to continue to do that and move forward. Yep, I make a motion, we continue to try to check all the boxes and go forward with this and make sure we try to complete all the courses.
Second.
We got a motion and a second by Ballhorn, roll call starting with Cronister.
Yes.
Councilman Ballhorn,
Yep.
Councilman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor White.
Yes, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I got a motion by Cronister, all in favor say aye.
Aye.